Greetings and welcome to the Diablo 4 video. Today I'm going to show you the Shadow Step Rogue build in Season 8, which is actually pretty good. And even though I have very mediocre gear other than this Harlequin crest, I know this is intimidating, but it is not mandatory, believe me. I don't have like a lot of masterworking or the right tempers everywhere going on, but let's start with the skills. As for the skill tree, I have one Heartseeker and the Hans Heartseeker. This actually might be useful later on. It depends if you have the Shroud of False Staffs or not. Right now I'm trying not to use that, but I will go into detail in a second. We got Sturdy and Siphoning Strikes. Just to move on to here where we put max points into Shadow Step as well into Discipline, giving our Shadow Step 300% more damage and also reducing the cooldown by 3 seconds. Very important. And then we have Weapon Mastery, Unstable Elixirs and Quick Attacks, so boosting our damage. I also use Dash with Methodical Dash to move around faster. It's more like the speed variant build. If my if there's no enemy to attach to with the Shadow Step. If not, then you can remove those points and put them into Smoke Grenade just to get a bit more damage out against bosses, for example, depending what content you do. And that was actually what I'm gonna do. I want to go and I need caltrops actually. For this variant, I will explain in a second when we go over the gear. I got some Dark Shot for some damage reduction, and then of course these passives, Malice and Exploit right here for more damage. Shadow Imbuement, fully maxed out, not maxed out actually. I got 10 from the items, just 1 point, but we got the mixed and enhanced Shadow Imbuement to further enhance our damage. Then Shadow Crash to give us a chance to stun, as well as Frigid Finesse for more damage against shield, and Cold Imbuement, which we will also use. Then we got Shadow Clone to mimic our skills, giving us also more damage. Alchemist Fortune, more lucky hit. Unto Dawn, more ultimate skill damage, and then also Second Wind and Haste. And we are going with Close Quarters Combat, and here you can see I only have 173% plus damage, and I hope I'm using Turf. Yeah, I am using Turf. So it's not optimized yet, so there is still room for improvement. I think you can bring this to like up to 300% almost. That depends like on your gear choices, but yeah, there you go. Paragon, I can also quickly go over it. I got the Canny rune right here. I got the Exploit weakness as well as Turf, as I already mentioned. I think this is not in the right spot because I only have 54 strength right here. That's kind of on the low end. Pride to give me more damage as well as boost our rare nodes. Might not be the best choice right here actually, but I guess it's fine. Yeah, it's fine for now. Cheap shot, and then I got Eldritch Bounty. When you attack with an imbued skill, I gain a maximum resistance and increased damage to the imbuement's element. This will apply to our shadow damage and also to our cold damage, because we're using cold imbuement, and shadow imbuement is always applied to our shadow stab. Control glyph, as well as no witness, of course, with versatility right here. So why is shadow imbuement always applied? Because of Assassin's Stride. This is a core piece of this build. You cannot really play it without it, at least not very well. It gives you a huge mobility cooldown reduction. It would be better if this is a greater affix, and there's my point in you don't need the Harlequin's crest. I have it because it gives a huge cooldown reduction boost, because I don't have the GA on the mobility cooldown reduction here. So ideally you have mobility cooldown reduction, greater affix here, and then you also temper some Shadow Step cooldown reduction on your rings. And you can, for example, use Godslayer Crown for more cooldown reduction, so you don't need the Mythic. I just want to point that out. But since I don't have the ideal setup right here, right now, I'm missing, if I use Godslayer Crown, I'm missing cooldown reduction to bring Shadow Step to under 3.5 seconds cooldown. This is very important. You want below 3.5 seconds cooldown so that the build will work seamlessly. So keep that in mind. Yeah, Assassin's Stride will always make mobility skills shadow imbued with more potency, and this is a mobility skill that we are using, Shadow Step. Then we also have Tybalt's Will. We are like getting unstoppable from Shadow Step, we're getting unstoppable from Shadow Clone, so Tybalt's will always give us 20x increased damage. Then we're using Frostburn actually. Might be an interesting piece. It increases fire damage to chilled enemies and increases cold damage to burning enemies. And we will apply chilled with Azure Wrath. Casting with this weapon applies vulnerable and also chills enemies. So since Shadow Step casts with dual wielded weapons, this will always apply. And we got the Shadow Step cleaves for 40% of its damage. Again, you can see my masterwork. This sucks. I actually want to hit at least Shadow Step cleaving like for 100% damage if I can. So we'll apply chill to everything around us. Then we also close. We're having close damage, as I already mentioned. So this is kind of giving us then more fire damage. Why do we need fire damage? Going to the boss pause, we're using Cinera's Flames, which burns close enemies for a significant amount of damage, which actually I think gets buffed in the next patch by like 50% or something, or like to 400% instead of 50. And this will proc a lot because we are always using mobility skills. And this is fire damage. So that's why we have Frostburns. And it works very well with this build. These are not ideal rolls, of course, but yeah, it can get up to 35% more damage. Then the mirrored sharpshooters on the chainmail right here on the chest piece, because then it makes Caltrops a marksman skill. Also, it applies vulnerable, which we don't really need because we have Azure Breath, but Caltrops overall just enhances our damage. And then we're using Caltrops right here to proc close quarters combat because we need a marksman skill and a cutthroat skill, or cutthroat skill being, of course, Shadow Step. And then our marksman skill will be Caltrops. You could also use Heartseeker, for example. It's just, you just weave it in. The rotation is just Shadow Clone, Cold Imbuement, Heartseeker, and then you just go Shadow Step. So you don't really need the Mired. If you have like a short false death, it will boost your damage greatly. So this will be recommended actually. But for now, I'm using this. And then again, Harlequin's Crest, just overall a great, unique, giving damage reduction. It could also probably work with Call of the Nameless, but again, you need to look out for the cooldown reduction. What else we got? We got Vehement Brawls right here, giving us a 60x damage increase if we cast an ultimate skill, together with the Yul Quacks right here, because we are casting a skill with a cooldown all the time, which is Shadow Step. We're activating Quacks rune, which then uses all of our primary resource, which we don't need for anything else, giving us not only 100% more damage, but also a good tool to lower our ultimate cooldown through preparation, because our energy gets spent. Then we got like our cooldown reduction right here. So this is a good, nice little combo. And here we have the Seer Vex, just makes sense, gives us +3 to all skills after we cast 5 skills. You don't really need to use the Vex though. You can just use anything. It's not like mandatory for the build or anything, but it's really nice. You could also use like something like Max Life or whatever have you. Because we have a mixture of where our damage come from, so we have like our boss powers like Cinera's Flames, we have like our Shadow Step which cleaves, we have like our Shadow Clone. It's not really one thing that you need to boost or something, but I might try to build more into the boss power. I don't know if it will work, because other than Cinera's Flames, we're also using Varshan's Lifesteal as the modifier boss power, which when our main boss power inflicts if our main boss power activates, then we also inflict corrupting damage over 2 seconds, and our main boss power activates all the time since we are using our mobility skill all the time. Also using Hatred's Embrace, again, this is now also boosting our Shadow Clone and our Shadow Step by giving us critical strike chance, which we are otherwise lacking a little bit since we only have like 16.9%. And we get another juicy 50%, which is very, very nice right here. And then just Harbinger of Hatred's Volley, giving us more vulnerable damage. Still toying around a bit with this stuff, but I think this is very, very good for the time being. Going over to the jewelry, we have our amulet right here with damage to close and Shadow Clone cooldown reduction. It has unstable elixirs, which is kind of nice. Probably want like Rigid Finesse or something as well, other than Max Life. And then for the rings, something like dexterity, res all, maybe attack speed, maybe vulnerable damage is nice. And then put tempers again, damage to close enemies, and then shadow step cooldown reduction. Here the same thing. Attack speed is also pretty nice. Although I'm not really aware of the breakpoints when it comes to shadow step, but I think we need some attack speed anyways. Then Azure Breath, let's take a look at it again, other than the cold resistance, which kind of makes me think of my Paragon board. Why did I spec into cold resistance right here if I don't really need it? Maybe we can guys just go here, get some damage reduction. That makes more sense. So yeah, Azure Breath giving us a good chance to deal another cold damage and also attack speed at all stats. And then again, like every cast with this weapon, and Shadow Step is a cast, effectively gives the vulnerability and chill to the enemies we hit. Then lastly we have Cold Clip, just dealing more damage against enemies who are chilled or frozen. And we also actually got the lucky hit to deal poison damage. So we can make use, and I probably didn't spec into this even, we actually can make use of this beast passive, but right now I don't have the points for it because I'm trying out some different stuff. And I would rather put the temper to Shadow Step to cleave, so I don't need to triple hit it here or something. So it's kind of a bit confusing, I'm sorry about that, but it only has one temper left and I'm just leaving it as is. That's what I mentioned at the beginning. This build has potential and the sky is the limit. As for elixirs, I would use attack speed, lucky hit, then of course dexterity, then I guess the armor, do I need the armor one? I would use Soothing Spices for more resistances. We are almost capped out, and then you can use like Max Life as well. Alright, let's do some tier 64. Lastly, for the Mercenary, I actually haven't bothered with it. Right now, this will amplify our damage over time right here with Subu's Molotov. And then also Vajana giving us a little bit of a bloodthirst, and I need to change this to Shadow Step. Alright, so let's get into it. It's really fun, really mobile, really agile build, and I'm curious to see where it can land once it is really refined. So we can just go in, use Shadow Clone, and yeah. I'm actually using, okay, I changed it back to, I guess I changed it back to Heartseeker. Is it Heartseeker? Yeah, I never used this spell actually. Instead of using Caltrops, but it's fine. Caltrops gives you the chance to, like, it's better against bosses because it also adds a lot of damage when the enemy is affected. Sometimes like up to 45 more damage, 45%. Not sure if that's better than using Shroud of False Death and then like Heartseeker, right? And I'm showing tier 65 right here. I actually wanted to show a Nightmare Dungeon because this is like more about like, yeah, this is a Torment 4 build. But I guess showing tier 65 is equally valuable, showing that it can clear Torment 4 stuff and higher. So basically you just hold down Shadow Step, use your potion, and every time your Shadow Clone is off cooldown, it's really advised to use it because it also resets Cold Imbuement, which boosts our damage. So yeah, I'm not doing the fastest execution right now, as is usually the case. And again, this still has room for improvement, and I still need like the right tempers, the right items, the right affixes. But you know, throwing this stuff together, it's already yeah, very viable. And I would love to hear your opinions in the comments below. If you like this kind of build, maybe you have tried it, maybe you have some other ideas on how to improve it. But if you don't like the Death Trap build, which can do everything better, it's faster, it's stronger, you can push higher. If you want to play something else, then this is a good build, especially for like farming Torment 4. You can glimpse into a Nightmare Dungeon shortly after this. And you can see that it's also a very fast build. This map is not great. Well, that should be it. There we go. Go into the boss lair, the Guardian's lair it's called. It's definitely faster with Shroud of False Death because it was what I was running before, giving us a lot of passives. I actually don't know why I'm using evade or the evade roll. Still used to it with the other builds. And there we go. This is the pit. Let's just look into a Nightmare Dungeon as well in Torment 4. Let's go anywhere, I don't know. Anywhere is good. Forgotten Remains. And yeah, it should be clear that it's easy to clear Nightmare Dungeon. I just want to show you like the flow of it. That's what I like to use the dash, because sometimes this happens if you play a controller, like you're just jumping way ahead, or like in between these corridors there's like maybe no enemy to jump on, so that's why I like to use the dash in between. Because technically if you're trying to push the pit, then you would use Smoke Grenade instead of dash, and Caltrops instead of Heartseeker. Well, it kind of depends. I mean, Shroud of False Death, if you use Shroud of False Death, there is no room for the mere sharpshooters aspect, and then Caltrops is not a marksman skill. That's the whole reason, like, to proc close quarters combat, right? But then again, Caltrops also enhances the damage up to 45%, so still, I think Shroud of False Death is stronger choice. And here we go. It's kind of weird when they have a barrier. I don't know exactly why, but some effects just don't seem to work. Like, I think damage over time is not working at all. And there you go. This is the Shadow Step Rogue build in its infancy, I would say. There's still some, toying around with some boss powers. Right now, these seem pretty strong. I also was trying out Endgame, which is not good at all. I think Cinerets is way better. But maybe you have some ideas. I would love to hear it in the comments below. And if you like this kind of video, please consider subscribing to the channel for more content like this. And yeah, there's nothing left to say, but good luck, have fun, and goodbye.